Speaker for tonight, Perry R.
My name is Perry and I'm an alcoholic. I want to welcome our new friends to Alcoholics Anonymous and wish the people with happy birthdays. And if you're new, this is AA. And I guarantee you, if you're sitting there right now with this thought in your mind, if you think that you are lower than the poop coming out of a cricket's behind, don't sweat it. The man or woman sitting next to you, they feel worse than that. And if you're sitting there thinking you've got the best program in AA, you're the spiritual beacon of AA, you're the manifestation of the application of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, the man or woman sitting next to you probably feels the same way also. Welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. Inferiority magnified by grandiosity, desperation, anxiety, and fear. And I don't have to live like that. I've been sober now 19 years. I'll celebrate 20 years in November of this year. And man, what a fantastic way of life. And I want you to know that. I'm here because I have a physical allergy to alcohol. I have an obsession in mind or a mental craving for alcohol. Alcohol convinced me of that. Glass in hand, I warped my mind into an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it. Whew, and that's what I did. So what's my success? I'll tell you, I fire my brain. I've got to fire my brain if I'm going to be successful in the day that I'm in. I have to fire this magnificent organ of thought. Boy goes in the butcher shop. He sees cow brain, $2.50 a pound. Pig brain is $3.50 a pound. He slides down the window. Alcoholic brain, $500 a half a pound. Says the butcher, woo, that alky brain is some expensive stuff. Butcher says, true that, but you know how many alkies you got to get together to get a half of good pound of brain. So it's a requisite. Fire your brain. It's a prerequisite to fire your brain. Man, I'm grateful when I think about booze. Booze. The book describes me. I'm not a social drinker. I'm rather insanely intoxicated. That's my method of drinking. I know that for experience. You don't have to tell me that I drink insanely and I'm rather insanely intoxicated. I had a deal one night on Westwood Boulevard. The train used to run up and down that Santa Monica strip, and it has those wig-wag signals that hang up out and over the street. So I took some vodka and this brain, and I sat up there on the catwalk of this wigwag signal out over Westwood, just having a good old time till the LAPD showed up. And the only thing that saved me that night was they called my mom, and she claimed me as her son. Thank God my father did not answer the phone. Woo! I know the grace of God was working that night. Take that. That would have been gone. I'd have been gone. It's hard to imagine, looking back, that booze did what booze did. But I'm an alkie. Man, I see these Coors commercials now. You know how the sweat runs down the glass? Man, I can smell the hops and herbs. And that Budweiser commercial comes on. Jesus, man, the Clydesdales come out, oh, these kegs of beer. Oh, man, that shit's so real to me, I can smell the horse shit. Shit is real, man. Woo! It's real. And you see the head form on that beer and the carbonation in that beer. God, what a fantastic picture. AA has allowed me to see what my relationship is to that picture. It tastes good going down. Don't taste so good when it's coming back up. And that's what I see when I see a bottle of Coors, and that's for me. And I don't carry an axe, you know. I worked as a waiter for years, sober, serving booze, and the obsession to drink booze was removed, so, and I poured booze out of the tap and all that kind of deal, so I know that the people that can enjoy a drink. If I enjoy a drink, you will not enjoy me. That's just the name of that game. I have a profound character change when I start drinking, because I'm an alcoholic with the disease of alcoholism. I have a profound character change when I start drinking. Booze beat me to a pulp. I am grateful because I should be dead. I drank beyond human help, way beyond human help. I remember when I first discovered I had a craving for booze. Man, up to that point I just drank. You know, I just drank. And I was early in my drinking. I was in the Navy. I was on a destroyer. And we were on maneuvers, and we'd been out there maybe 60 days. And that's 60 days without drinking. And off and on, I'd been drinking whenever I felt like drinking. And I remember I could not get a drink. And I remember one significant thing happened. We were out on gun calibrations, and we had to shoot off these big-ass 5-inch guns. I was on a duty station, and the hatch blew open from the concussion of this 5-inch gun going off. The last guy in didn't dog it down tight enough, and it just blew open, and the concussion came into this small area, and I had headset on, and made my ears ring, but these other guys were screaming and moaning and groaning. Somebody had to get up and close that hatch before the next round went off. And I remember jumping up and dogging that hatch down, and when the round went off, I could feel the pressure when it went by that hatch. Wham! It blew me away from the door. But the thing that stands out the most is we were down to 5 days. And we were steaming back towards San Diego. And man, I got restless. And I got irritable. And I got discontent. By the time we hit the breakwaters, I was ready to break somebody's neck, man. I remember they announced the duty sections that night, and I caught the libs. And I was literally knocking guys out of the way, man, in the head to get my dress whites on and get the hell on shore and get me a goddamn drink. I needed to have a drink. That's one of the best ships I was ever on because the captain was an alkie. We steamed up to San Francisco. They got Alameda Naval Station and all the ships were moored there. This guy managed to take this destroyer and park it between these huge tankered ships. I remember these huge ships. I go, this ain't the naval station. And then we tied off on the pier, and like, bam, you could throw a rock from where we were tied off to one of those dinky-ass bars with a Pabst Blue Ribbon sign in it. Whoa! whoa, and you could always hear his name. They always announce his name. USS Feckler departing. USS Feckler arriving. It's just a ping pong ball, man. And he moored us out on the mole in Long Beach. There's a bar right next to the ship there, too, you know. Guys drank socially, 5, 6 guys to a pitcher. You know, a glass or 2 from a mug. You know, and I remember I'd wait for them to leave. And I'd get a mug all by my own, man. Another pitcher, and chugging his pitcher down, going back to work. What a hell of a way to live. And I did not know that I had alcoholism. I didn't realize that. I didn't have a clue. I did not know that I had a physical allergy, although my body was telling me, we don't want this in here. Get it out. I practiced until I could keep it down. Ain't no way I'm not getting my booze. I had ulcers from booze at the end. I managed to drink my way down to Skid Row. And if you're thinking about a career in drinking, I'll tell you one of the great jobs that you can nail down. Parking lot attendant, Skid Row. With a bachelor's arts degree from UCLA. I hit my dream spot. And I would drink from sun up to sundown, and those guys would think, how in the hell do you drink that much? And I'd say, are you drinking or are you talking? If you're talking, start walking, because I'm drinking. And I'm drinking. And the guys would drive up on this parking lot, and I was drinking this Lowenbrau with a gold label on it. An alkie can't see himself in the disease. It's impossible. And a guy drove up with a 6-pack full of this Lowenbrau with a gold label on it. I go, wow, how the hell does he know that's what I drink? How does he know that's what I drink? Well, after I got sober, I went back down to Skid Row, and I looked at that parking lot, and I looked at that booth where I thought I had cleverly ensconced myself and was stashing my booze. Well, it's plexiglass. You can look through that booth from here to Los Angeles Street, man. And I said, oh, you just don't see yourself. You do not see yourself in the disease. And it would be fun, except that as the disease progressed, those defects of character start coming out. And I became a very angry, embittered man. And one night I had a fight with a ball-peen hammer. My ex-wife's mother gave her an antique sewing machine, and I had a fight with this Singer sewing machine and this ball-peen hammer. Turned it into kindling wood. And then I continued round 2 with the stereo, put some volcano-sized craters in the stereo. And not to be content, I took on one of the stucco walls and KO'd that too. And I remember wondering why I would come home from work, and the little woman didn't like to do housework that much. And the stove would be on late at night. I would get home real late. And the burners would be on the stove, and the damn burners would be like red, white hot, man. You could launch a rocket off of those burners. And there would always be a huge pot of water with Clorox in it. And I start figuring out, whoa, I don't think she's doing washing dishes. And the only thing that saved me from being scalded to death was she was an alkie too. And she'd pass out and leave that stove with that pot on it. And she had huge pinking shears up under the pillow that she'd sleep with. Because I had progressed to a place where I frightened her to death. And I still didn't realize that I was an alcoholic with the disease of alcoholism, and that it's a progressive disease. I did not know that. I did not know that I was building a character that was spiteful and mean and jealous and angry at you all the time. And so I finally arrived in AA through the Clare Foundation on a drunk driving card. And I remember the man's name, I'll never forget his name, was Mr. Zacchetti. And he was going to put me in the high gain program because I got another drunk driving. I remember looking him in the eye and I said, Mr. Zacchetti, I don't need to go to the high gain program. I don't have a problem with alcohol. You know what my problem is? I'm working as a janitor at the Broadway department store, and I've got a bachelor degree from UCLA. If you was up under this, you'd take a drink your own damn self. He said, all right, I can commiserate with that. I'm not going to send you to the high grade program. I said, good, because I'm telling you right now, you will never see me in this West LA court again for driving under the influence. You can mark the calendar and bet your last bottom dollar on that. I shook his hand and I walked out. A week later, I was over at Hill Street, another drunk driving. And I was kind of sweetly reasonable about coming into AA. Sweetly reasonable, and that's how I got to my home group, same home group, Back to Basics, Crenshaw group. And I came to this meeting on a court card Saturday, I remember that, some 19 plus years ago. I remember sitting across the way in my car, I was parked, and I was trying to check out the pedigree of the people coming in this place. Pedigree of these people. It's a Saturday afternoon. I saw a couple of great-looking gals come up in here. I said, oh, man, this is all right. Yeah, I like this AA. I like this AA. Got my car signed and got the wife back, got the daughter back, got some money in my pocket, sober 5 years. And the message I was hearing at the time was, don't drink, get a sponsor, read the book, the program's in the first 164 pages, get commitments, go to meetings, and you'll be a winner. I had a sponsor, I had a panels, I'd shared my fourth and fifth step with my sponsor, I was working with other people, and man, I had a panel over in Westwood. The hospital's closed now. It's on Mississippi and Barrington. It was a lockdown ward with adolescents in it. I didn't want to go there. I was used to going down to county jail. I was used to going up to Tehachapi. I was used to going into jails where they had a lot of black folks. And this was all white, West Side, yuppie kids. What the hell am I going to do with these guys? And they sat back from me like I was a leper. And we had somebody from staff monitoring that meeting. And then in the course of 1 year, I managed to get a 12 and 12 into that lockdown psych ward. And those kids stopped taking psychotropics. And they told me, stop bringing speakers in here who give us drunkalogs. We want to find out something about these steps. How do you write an inventory? One of the kids' name is Adams. He's about 15 years sober. I watch him get sober. He's a psych tech in a lockdown ward himself. He's up in San Francisco. And I would see this miracle happen. How the staff left the room and the kids would come up to the table. I would go home from that panel sober, and there would be the little wife. I'd drop my little kit with my big book in it, and the 12 and 12, and I'd look at her, and then my mind would start talking to me sober. I need to kill this woman. Yep. Need to kill this woman. Gotta kill her. I got to kill this woman. And I killed her with my mouth. I was beating on her with my fist when I was drunk. When I was beating on her pretty good with my mouth now that I'm sober. And my daughter's growing. She's growing. She's a nice young lady, you know, 8 years old, 9 years old. You know. I prayed that I was going to get enough money to have a nice, sober Christmas. And I did. Man, God is good. I said, boy, AA is fantastic. God is fantastic. And she wanted to get a Nintendo. So, got her Nintendo. Then she wanted Super Mario Brothers. Running all over town. I finally get a copy of Super Mario Brothers. And she gets at the house, and she gets to be pretty good at this Super Mario. And she says, Dad, come on. Play a game of Nintendo with me. Come on, play some Nintendo. She started playing, and she was beating Dad pretty good. Oh, Dad was going to AA meetings and reading the 12 and 12, and going to step study meetings, and going to big book meetings, and going to panels, and talking to my sponsor, and going to marathons, and going to dances. But Dad's character hadn't changed. And when my daughter commenced to beat me in Nintendo, I said I should kill her too. Her mama put her up to this. And she was laughing, having a good time, you know, just bing, 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 bing. And I'm going, oh, you sabotaged my controls. She looked at me and I said, yeah, you sabotaged my controls, God damn it. Woo! She just, Dad hasn't come quite that far. She got bedroom, man, out of sight. And I would go to work every day and get off work. And I had my shift to where I'd be the only one in the house. First thing I do when I go in the house, go to a meeting, come back from a meeting, boom, play Nintendo. Play Nintendo. I had calluses from playing Nintendo. Power Daddy, that's the nickname I gave myself from Nintendo. And I could get a million and zillion lives playing Nintendo. And I'd throw the control at her like, here, take a turn. Then I'd come back to AA, and I'd stand at a podium tonight, just like this, and say, oh, I didn't drink today, I'm a winner. If you want what we have, keep coming back. My daughter had these purple marks on her little arm. I remember it's about this big. Her arms were, you know, young gal. She had these deep purple contusions from where I was giving her my brand of unconditional love. Ran into a man about that time. His name was Bob Anderson. And he started talking about alcoholism, ego, and self. I couldn't hear too much of him in the beginning, but he talked about how he treated his wife sober, without a drink. How, as a power for his life in the day that he was in, and the way he talked about treating his wife was exactly the way that I was treating my wife, sober. He said, and if the shoe fits, you're going to have to wear it. And then he talked about things that I hadn't heard in AA. And he talked about being a power sober, being the same power sober as when he was drinking. And he called this power self. And he said that self is the authority for my life in the day that I'm in. It tells me what's right. It tells me what's wrong. It tells me that you're wrong and I'm right. And then this ego comes in, hooked to alcoholism. And this infant king who's omnipotent, demanding, it's my world and welcome to it. He comes in the picture. And this alcoholism now is I'm pushing, I'm shoving. I'm not going to get what I'm going to get. You're going to get it. I got to get it first. The world that I live in is the world is a pit bull. And I'm wearing sirloin steak drawers. And I got to beat you back. So I go to the market like this meeting. It's a great meeting tonight. Man, I've heard people I love here sharing. I watch people take cakes. And I love newcomers taking chips. And man, I'm sober. And I leave the meeting. I've had another great panel, and I leave the meeting. Bam, I go into the market. Could be Ralph's, could be Albertsons, it doesn't matter. I walk into the market. I get 2 items. And I go get into the line, got my money out, ready to pay, get into the 10 item or less line. And I noticed the lady in front of me. She's got 11 items. The light's on. It's 10 items or less, ma'am. I know it's 11 items because I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She got 11 items. What the hell is she doing in this line? 11 items. I remember a lady looked at me in Boys Market like, boy, nigga, you crazy. Damn, you crazy. And I called the security guard. I said, come and get this lady. She got 11 items in the 10 item or less line. Sober in AA. This is the power that I am. Sober in AA. So through this awareness now, Step 7 became real important. Step 7, if you read it in the 12 and 12, is just a prayer. That's all it is. It's a prayer. It's a fantastic prayer. But this man said you're going to need more than a prayer in order to build a new character. So he put me in the 12 and 12. And he said, let's see what some of the things they're talking about in this 12 and 12. It says, we finally admit without reservation that we're powerless over alcohol. And we're apt to breathe a great sigh of relief, saying, I'll never have to go through that again. And basically, that was what I was doing in AA. I wanted to reach that safe place. I wanted to reach that place where you're safe. I want to reach that place, that safe ground. And I admit I'm powerless over alcohol. And man, I'll never have to go through that again, newcomer, and neither do you. You have arrived. Everything's going to be cool. But then it goes on to say, but this is only the first milestone on the new road that we are walking. We're going to reluctantly come to recognize those handicaps or those serious defects of character. But what I'm going to have to really look at is my flawed character, because it's my flawed character that made a problem drinker out of me in the first place. My flawed character. What is wrong with my character? Well, I'm a narcissistic, egocentric core. I will fight to the very end to maintain my right to be right. But wait a minute, I'm sober. I'm going to make amends to you. I want you to know that you are absolutely right. But I'm still not wrong. Whoa, but I'm sober. I want you to know that I'm absolutely in the wrong. 100% in the wrong. But you still aren't right. Says I have the total inability to form a true partnership with another human being. Step 4. I have the total inability to form a true partnership with another human being. Because what do? I insist on being right, and you're absolutely wrong 100% of the time. I lean on you like a crutch, or I smother you with my sick demands for attention. And you have to perform right now according to the way I specify. I give my wife the money to go shopping. Here, hon, here's the money. But you better buy that dress. Oh, and you better buy those shoes. What do you mean I'm telling you what to do? It's my money, isn't it? I think I'm sharing. But what I'm living in is untreated alcoholism. I'm going to meetings all the time. I'm not aware that steps are what I need in the day that I'm in to build a new character. Starting with step 1 now, honesty, self-honest to self. It starts for me the same place it starts for any other alkie. I can't drink another drop of booze as long as my wide behind points down. That's a principle. Then there's a dash, that my life has become unmanageable. I will never be able to manage my life. I will never be able to take any experience that I have in the day that I'm in and use some kind of logic or some kind of reason and allow myself to be emotionally sound. I will not be able to pull that off. If I use me, I'm going to have a day that's unmanageable. That's a day when I'm running on fear. It has to happen that way. So I need step 2 to have a power other than me, a power other than self. This is what I must have. And this requires open-mindedness in order for me to have this life that I'm talking about. Step 2 is a killer, man. I never saw step 2 the way it was written in step 2, you know. And I'm going to admit that I'm a problem drinker. Step 2 tells me that. But try this one on for size. It says not only am I going to have to admit I'm a problem drinker, I'm going to have to admit that I'm emotionally ill. Whoa, go home and look in the mirror and tell yourself that. Oh, I'm sober tonight and I'm emotionally sick. Oh, I'm sorry tonight. I'm sober tonight, but I'm not wrapped too tight. Oh, hell no, I just pulled 10,000 out my ATM machine. I'm cool. Ain't nothing wrong with me. But this is what the step says. I'm going to have to admit that. And I'm looking at my own life. My own life. Believe me, I'm not looking at your life at all. No way. I wish I had the power to give you what is written in an application form. I wish I had the power to give you what God gives us through this magnificent program. I can't give you what I'm talking about. I can't give myself, to me, what I'm talking about. But the program does, because the power of God, backed by 12 steps in an application form, builds a new character in the day that I'm in. And that's a fantastic experience. That daughter of mine is 26 years old. She just called her. She said, yeah, I'll give you the plane. She works for United, so she gives me these plane tickets, these coupons. I get to fly wherever United flies, so that's all over the world. I'm sober, and I just gave you a great pitch. And I go up to the plane. United Airlines. Bam! The ticket's paid for. All I gotta do is plop my behind in the seat and fly. First thing I notice, how come I'm not sitting by a window? And the next thing I notice, ain't none of the brothers sitting by no window. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And the grace of God has kept me sober in the day that I'm in. See, that kind of thinking I'm discovering is doing a lot of damage in me. And it does a lot of damage to my mind. And I don't have to live in a day like that when I apply the power of God and the principles that are in the 12 steps to my life. Man, my mom is 92 years old. It's a wonder she lets me cross the threshold of her home. My brother is 15 years sober. It's a wonder that he speaks one word to me. My wife is a little over a year sober. It's a wonder that she speaks one word to me. If you hear a pitch, she'll tell you, yeah, that lousy SOB. He got sober one year, and he actually said, here's the money, go buy some food to detox. And he didn't follow me down the aisles. She'll tell you that. Because that's the change that's happened in my life. I love the life that I have, and I want you to know that. I got a deal coming up I'm not jumping up and down about. They got to check me for my checkup for prostate cancer, cystostomy, and I'm not looking forward to them making an HBO movie of my colon. The wide world of polyps. But I will go. I will go. Because I know that's good for my life. I've seen people die from refusing to take that simple exam. Alkies like me. I watched a fella die because of fear. I've seen some things in AA, this man that would tell us about the steps. First I thought he was telling us a lot of fear stories, trying to boogeyman, you know, all that. Because I got a closed mind. I don't trust you as far as I can toss you, man. And he talked about people that he sponsored committing suicide. I said, this guy's just trying to run us down, man, to get us in this trick bag. Well, I stayed a little bit, and I watched what happens when the character isn't treated in the day that I'm in, if I'm an alkie. I can't form a true partnership with another human being, and this envy kicks off, and this envy turns into anger. And I remember a gal and her old man who used to sit on the front seat in the meeting all the time. They made the 11 o'clock news, sober. He followed her into the garage. She was going to get a divorce, blew her brains out, and then turned the gun on himself and blew his brains out. Sober, about 7 or 8 years sober. So I'm aware that this disease will kill me deader than a doornail, sober. You hear people saying, oh, time doesn't treat the disease. And the first retort is, well, get some time. Well, I'm coming up on 20 years, and I'm going to tell you, time does not treat the disease. Does not. And that book says that. What I have is a daily reprieve, contingent upon the maintenance of my spiritual condition. See, it's easy to rest on my laurels, and I'm headed for trouble if I do. For alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. You notice it doesn't talk about the booze or how much booze you drank. It says we are not cured of alcoholism. Each day is a day that I must carry a vision of God's will into all of my affairs. How can I best serve thee? Thy will be done. And this is the kicker. Not mine. Not mine. So that's basically my journey. God, I don't want to do my will today. I don't know what your will is. I know your infinite, loving, caring power. I can't measure that. I can't see that. I believe it's there. But I do know that I don't want to do me. I do not want to do me. As much awareness as I have of myself in the day that I'm in, I don't want to use that awareness. Thy will be done, not mine. Those are good days. I've had a lot of those days. I'm having one of those days this evening, right now, being able to sit here and share with you. It's so good to be comfortable inside of one's skin. You say, well, how you know you're comfortable inside of your skin? Well, for one, I don't have rivers of perspiration running down my backside while I'm talking to you this evening. I really don't. I really do not. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that. It is a miracle if you have a warped, twisted mind like mine this evening, and you are sitting and you are comfortable inside of your own skin right this minute. What a tremendous gift. I drank to try and achieve that. That's why I drank. That's why I drank. Popped them pills, smoked them left-hand cigarettes, dropped all that acid, smoked that sherm. To do that, to just be comfortable inside my own person, to look the world in the eye straight across and know that I'm in the mix now. I'm in the mix. I am in the mix. Thank you, God. I am truly in the mix. I am in the midst of my peers, and this is our society, and it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to thank you for allowing me to share with you this evening. If I was remiss, I probably didn't talk about God enough. If I was remiss, I probably didn't talk about those alkies who helped me along the way, my sponsors, my peers. If I was remiss, I didn't thank you enough for the life that you've given me one day at a time. AA is a fantastic way of life. I wish I could say it comes overnight, but it don't. I wish I could tell you it comes with a lot of time, but it don't. I'm going to tell you how it does come, though. It comes right now, this day, one day at a time. It's a cinch by the inch, but it takes a while by the mile. Thank you for allowing me to come into this clubhouse and share with you.